Alright, so now what we have here is what we have here are two divs, and one div, sorry, there are two divs here. This might seem a bit confusing, but there are two divs, and one is inside of the other one. So if we just had another third div down here, and said this one, we titled this blocka. So now we're gonna have three divs, but this one will just add on to the bottom of this, or might add on to the side. Yeah, it adds on to the bottom. So it's important to notice that these two divs here are nested. This div is nested inside of this larger div here, and what I'm trying to do is have this smaller div within the bigger div be a different color than it. So I want this div to be red, this div to be pink, this div to be blue. Or no, I want this div to be orange. But we can't do that with these selectors. So we need to use what are called classes. And basically how you write a class is you go into the tag, and then you write class equals, and then you write two double quotes, and then you write your class name in there. So we're gonna name this one Big Top. I like to use camel case. Try to avoid using spaces. So just write, if you have two words, just write in camel case like this, or just write it as one word. So yeah, you use the quotes here and you write your class name within it. We're also going to use an ID. So the ID, actually we're going to just start with class for now. This second is going to be called class equals, we're gonna call this the crackers class. Okay, and then we have this third down here, and this is going to be called the Flocka class. Alright, so right now the way these selectors are working is they're pointing at every single div that is within the content, but we want to get more specific. We're just going to leave this for now, but then down here, instead of writing div, so to begin pointing at a class, you first write a period, and then you write the name of the class. So we're going to write Big Top, and so we wanted Big Top to be red, right? And I think we want these sizes in there. We're just going to take out all of this for now. We just have this empty instruction right here. That's alright. Just also write a second one. So just copy it and then paste it again, and we're just going to, down here we're going to write this crackers. So we have two selectors. We're selecting Big Top and we're also selecting crackers. And we want this to be pink, and we want this to be 10. Yeah, that looks good. Right now Flocka isn't actually inheriting any styling because div doesn't have any instructions in it, and we don't have class being the class Flocka being styled either. So right now Flocka will just be green, and then we're gonna have Big Top, and that's gonna be red, and then right below it we're gonna have the beginning of this second div called crackers, and that's gonna be pink. So it's gonna be like a small pink box, big red one, and then this is just gonna be green. Not gonna have a color. So Control S, and you can see that that's happened. This was bigger than I anticipated. And this is actually smaller than I anticipated because I forgot that since this is a nested div, the 10% is of this. So you can see also that it's not a perfect square. If this were 40 and 40, it would be a perfect square. So we can see that it's a perfect square. And so is this red. It's also these two perfect squares. Because that was 30, it wasn't. So we can just get rid of these percents and start using pixels. So we'll just do 100 px, stands for pixels, and we'll do that for each. Control S. And so now we have something closer to what I was anticipating. We're gonna make that box a little bit smaller. Alright, nice. Okay, so we have this larger big top box. Then we have within it, we have the crackers box. And here we actually do have a box, but it doesn't have a color. It's not being styled. So we want to, let's say we want to, let's say we wanted to move every single div over to the right. We can write in the div as from the div selector. We can select all of these divs here and move them all over to the right. Instead of having to move one at a time, we can move them all. And so we'll do position, or no, we'll just do right, and then we'll do 10 pixels. Save it. Yeah, we'll try left. This sometimes confuses me. Oof. Alright, what if we do -10? Alright. Well, that didn't work. You try position. We could try margin left. Alright, hopefully this works. Okay. So, we've moved every single div over to the left 20 pixels. You can also move them. Let's try to move. Oh well. Yeah, this looks fine. This looks fine for now. But we also want to stylize that flocka. That flocka div. We're going to come down here and write flocka. And here we're going to make this, what color should we make it? We'll make it orange. That's what it was. Alright. That looks kind of weird, so I'm going to use 30. Alright, here we go. Or I'll use 15. Alright, perfect. Okay. So we have successfully used classes and targeted these classes to stylize the elements within the body differently, uniquely. So I have an idea. What if we just made a bunch of div classes, a bunch of flockas. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 flockas. Let's say we just happen to need all 4 of these flockas. But we want them to be stylized differently. But some of them have similar styling elements. In other words, flocka is styled this way. We have a height and a width and a background color. Let's say we wanted to just only change the background color of this, this, and this. Well, would we need to write flocka 4 times? Or or would we need to make new classes for each one? No, what we can do is we can make the work, we can cut down on the work that we need to do by using IDs. So we can use IDs, we can use classes, we can also use IDs to target elements. So we'll write this block of 1. And I'm gonna write that in each of the other 3. So this one just doesn't even have an ID. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna target those IDs by using the hash symbol. So instead of using a period, we use hash. So period means class, hash means ID. And generally the way that people use IDs and classes, they get more specific for IDs and they get more general with classes, and completely general by just using div. And then like there are even there's even a selector where you can select every single element on the whole page. Barely ever gets used because if you select everything on the page and you make one small thing, the entire page changes. Usually you want to make specific, you want to learn how to use how to select only what you need to select and not have redundant code. So here we're gonna write ID flocka1 or hash flocka1, and then opening and closing braces, and it gets colored a little bit differently. Instead of it being yellow, it's orange. Here it's colored blue. So now we're just going to change the background color for flocka1. I'm going to make this blue. We'll save this and see what happens. So exactly what we wanted. We still have these same inherited properties from up here from the class, and we've only stylized the background color to blue. Let's see what would happen if we took this and we put this above this class. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so nothing changes. So alright. So I guess the way it works is it doesn't always go from top to bottom, like depending on which selector that you're using. Like it first looks through the classes, and then second it looks through these hash symbols. It looks through the IDs. So even though it was above here, it didn't inherit the orange. I was sort of expecting this to change color because it was above, but that actually didn't change because when the code compiles, if the browser first looks at classes and then goes from top to bottom, and then second it looks at the IDs and goes from top to bottom. So this was even if you put this above a class, selector, it doesn't matter. Anyways, we'll color this to teal. I don't know if there is a teal. This one a purple. Oh, sorry. This should be 3 and this should be 2. Okay, perfect. So now you can see how you can use classes, IDs, and you can just select the elements themselves to stylize the contents within your web page. So I think next we should look at how to position different elements, or maybe we should just, I think what we should do is we should just start building a basic page, or we should should write, do a project. So I'll find you guys in the next video. I'll come up with something to do.